The AI bubble is going exactly how I told you it would. Literally exactly. I only have one skill in life, and it's a gift and it's a curse. And I actually think it's more of a curse. It's basically that I have like systems level thinking, pattern spotting. That's it. But I have no retention. So why is it a gift and a curse? Well, I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but it's a curse because I'm a tailor at none. I guess it's just not my lot in life. But what I am good at is spotting these patterns that happen over and over and over again. And then when everybody else is selling you a spectacle, I can tell you the truth. And so once again, here I am telling you, look, go back to my old videos. It's happening exactly like I told you it would. OpenAI, XAI, Oracle, bubble companies. But they are not the important ones. The industry is not in a bubble. The industry is not in a bubble. Yes, they could bring the market down, but if they do, the people who are actually in charge of the AI industry are going to take over in the West, i.e., Alphabet, Meta. Oh, yeah, welcome to Ruben Tech. I don't usually talk in the dark in my garage, but if you're familiar with my channel, you're used to me whispering. I have a loud voice. My family goes to bed early, so everyone's telling me to shut up. No, they're not saying that, but they're saying, Dad, I need to sleep. But the problem is none of them are ever at work or out of the house during the daytime when I usually make these videos. Some weird stuff's going on. My kids are always home now. It's like every single day they have off of school. And I have these weird brain things where I can't do work unless I have a completely quiet house. I know, it's a tough life. Anyways, moving on. Sorry about the setting, but whatever. Please be sure to like and subscribe down below, whatever. Okay. For months, I was telling you, the AI bubble completely blown out of proportion. Everyone's thinking it's going to be the downfall of America. The entire tech stack, all the big Magnificent Seven is going to be ruined. There will be no Magnificent Seven. Sorry, guys. I hate to burst your bubble, but that's not even going to be close, not even close to what happens. Okay? We today, this week, the past week, we have seen exactly what I said play out. Again, I'm not saying there isn't a bubble. There is bubble companies. XAI, OpenAI, Oracle. NVIDIA would get hurt by them, but NVIDIA's not in a bubble. They're bubble-ish, man. Depends on what you think, for PE ratios. Okay? It's not like they're going out of business. Micron and Samsung, they're gonna shed some market cap, right? The market could crash. Absolutely anything. You can sneeze at the market in America and it could crash. But that doesn't mean that the industry is going to be wiped out. We hear Oracle needs $58 billion more dollars. This is what I was telling you. Oracle's cash flow negative for how many years? Oracle, people last time they lent it money, they're getting credit default swaps because they're worried about their money. So they're taking insurance out. And now they're asking for more money. Oracle is. Are they in trouble? Yes, they are. They are going down a very risky path. Is OpenAI in trouble? Yes. NVIDIA just announced, hey, we're not sure. We never 100% said we're giving them $100 billion. They're in trouble. Why? Why? Because Google is eating their lunch, literally. XAI needed its owner to slush funds around. I have a guy who loves Elon, but he is polite. I'm sorry to say that, because I know you love Elon, but he's slushing his slush funds around. And you can do that in America because America's pay to play. There is no more corruption in America if you're rich. So he keeps saying, he's not getting arrested. It's legal. Yeah, it's all legal. Everything is legal in America if you're a billionaire. Okay, we found that out from those disgusting files. That doesn't mean it's right. So XAI got bailed out. So yeah, those are the companies that are going to fail. But what did we hear from earnings last week and now this week? What did I tell you guys? People have been asking me, what do I mean by a stack? A stack in technology is when you have all these different areas and they're adjacent and you can leverage them together. But what did we learn today? What I've always been telling you. Last week we learned that Meta, tons of cash, is going to continue to build, is still going to make tons of money. They are not slowing down, and they don't need to slow down. People are like, I need revenue back. Have you seen how fast Meta's growing? Do you see how much money they make? They are making a return. Okay, they are making huge returns. Look at Alphabet. Look at the juggernaut. As it just cleared, last year it was set the highest NOI for any company ever in the US market, probably, I don't know, the world, maybe. Depends on how you would measure those things. With like, I think it was 105 billion, beating Apple. Apple had a year that was like 100. So they set the highest NOI ever. They destroyed it this year. Destroyed it. They're at like 130 billion net operating income. That's everything paid out. That's all my expenses, all my taxes gone. They have so much money, they don't know what to do with. They're going to spend 200 billion on building out stuff next year, CapEx. And why wouldn't they? They spent 100 billion this year and they have tons of money. Their cash on hand grew last quarter from 100 billion on the asset sheet to 130 billion. And that's despite giving a $12 billion dividend and like 15 billion in buybacks. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is a company that's going out and is spending billions in CapEx, is giving shareholders back 20 billion plus a quarter. And they're still like, God, where do I put all these mountains of cash? We don't even know where to put them. Oh, I'll tell you where they put them. They put them in T-bills. You can see that on their asset sheet, which is what you're supposed to do, because otherwise they're sitting there getting no interest. Anyways, tons. Was Facebook that strong? No, but Facebook is strong. It's super strong. No one's as strong as Google. No one. Apple's not even close anymore. But then let's talk about Apple. So people are like, oh yeah, the tech market's going to fail. Apple's not even in the AI race. I just did that video. They're not in the AI race. They don't care if OpenAI and XAI fail. It will not bother them one bit. If NVIDIA takes a hit to their margins, it will not bother Apple. Apple's still going to make money. They're still going to have their margins. They're still going to sell for a premium. The only threat to these companies is governments. That's it. Governments breaking them up. We just heard the DOJ announce that it wants Google to sell Chrome at a minimum. What does that mean? It means that Donald Trump is upset. Perhaps Sundar did not give him a large enough donation. So he'll have to correct that. He'll have to be like, Donald, what do you need for your Kennedy Center? We'll write you a check. That's how all problems get handled in America now. But that's the only threat to these companies. Okay. If the bubble pops and they lose market cap, do you really think they care? No. I mean, they know it's going to go back up. They're going to thrive anyways. They're going to survive and they're going to thrive. And if it did pop, I guarantee you that Google and Apple and Facebook and Microsoft are going to use their incredible cash piles. $130 billion. Understand, Google they were with Apple. It was like 7 years ago. Apple had an insane $170 billion. It was like some insane number. And Google was like 150. And the market was like, you guys have to do something with this. That was like the biggest question at all the shareholders meetings for both of them. What are you going to do with all that money? You have to do something. So both of them, Alphabet and Apple, were like, okay, we're going to start paying dividends and buybacks, and we'll try to buy other companies. So they're trying to get their cash piles down. And Apple, I think, is actually I think they're like 70. I forgot what they're at. They're like 60 or 70 billion now. So they've got it down quite a ways. But Google, they can't even get it down. They make so much money. Last quarter, they reported 35 billion net operating income, but that was on this like one-time adjustment. It was, I think the actual was like 30, and they got like, they had to claim some income from a stock sale or something. So something unusual that you don't normally count on. And they made 35 billion. This quarter, they made 35 billion regular without any exercising a stock or whatever, recognizing stock sales. These are mind-boggling numbers. Mind-boggling. Okay? So when you hear from everyone who's going to tell you the Magnificent Seven are dead. No. Tesla might die. No, never. Are you kidding? It's a cult. You even get intelligent people like the guy I was telling you about in the comments. Nice guy. He's intelligent. I've heard him say intelligent things. It's still a cult. Why? He'll tell you, Elon made me money, so I will love him for the rest of my life. I got a picture of him on my wall. I worship him. He made me $1. I mean, I'm exaggerating there with the made $1. Maybe you made him a lot of money. I don't know. I made money from Elon too. I don't worship in someone because they made me money. It's like, what? This is weird. Why do people do that? I have no idea. But Elon won't fail. He's a cult. People like that don't sell. So he's going to be there. Sam Altman isn't going to fail. Why? Why isn't Sam Altman going to fail? You said Ruben, you just said he's doing bad. Because people have invested tons of money in him. And how many rich people in America do you know? They're just going to say, yeah, I'm going to lose my billions on OpenAI. No. What they're going to say is, we got to get to an IPO so that you can get us paid back. Just like Elon does for his, Sam, you want to be Elon, that's what you got to do. Look at what he did with Twitter. Lost 40 billion with Twitter, but then he had XAI absorb it and took all the investors' money from XAI to pay off all the Twitter investors. And now he just took all the money from SpaceX investors to pay off the XAI investors. Okay. It's a freaking Ponzi scheme. And that's going to happen to Sam. They're going to say, Sam, if you can't orchestrate a Ponzi, then what kind of carnival barker are you? Every carnival barker's got to be able to organize a Ponzi. And Sam will be able to do it. They're not going to let it fail until he can IPO. So the only threat to Sam is Elon wants to destroy Sam, so he has a lawsuit against him. And the lawsuit looks like it's actually picking up a little bit of steam. And so if that goes through, it won't destroy him in a sense. It's not going to shut down the business, but will prevent them from IPOing, which will destroy them. If they can't IPO, they will be destroyed. And then Microsoft, will likely buy up everything over there, buy up the rest. Maybe you'll have to go to the open market and Microsoft, Amazon, and Google will buy it up. Something like that. But that's what we got, okay? OpenAI is not going to die until they IPO. The earliest they can IPO, I think, on the current look of this case would be, I saw a guy who put out the timeline because they have to wait for this case to resolve, et cetera, et cetera. Then they would have to file paperwork. Would look to be fall 27, according to some guy I saw. Okay, because they have to get this case resolved. They got all this paperwork they got to do. So you might say that's just around the corner. Yeah, it is. It is just around the corner, but that's assume everything goes at warp speed, right? And even then, right, there's no way they're going anywhere before that. And even after they IPO, you can't just all the people who invested can't just immediately pull their money out. I mean, there's like a certain period. You got to keep it in there. Okay, and even if they fail, like all the people pull their money out and they fail after that, which they won't, because people are just going to hold on for dear life, thinking it's going to be a success. Who bought into it? All the suckers who buy into it after it IPOs and get all the rich people paid, right? It's not going to matter because someone else is going to pick up the pieces, and the big companies are going to be there. Meta and Alphabet, I told you a year ago, are playing both games. They're playing the open source and they're playing the paid model, right? Up until now, Meta has not played the paid model, but now they're going into it. They're announcing it. And they're still going to have it free. And that's what Google could do. They can say, hey, whatever anybody wants to do, we can do. If it becomes commoditized and is free, fine, we leverage our stacks. Oh, I've had some people ask me about stacks. Did I explain that earlier? So, example of a stack for Apple would be like they have a hardware stack. So they have, you call it ecosystem too. They have phones, watches, tablets, the vision, laptops. So they have these different aspects of hardware. And you can say they leverage their hardware stack because they also have their own operating system. So now they also have an OS stack. Okay, they have multiple OSs. And then you can say they leverage the developer stack because they also have app stores on the Mac and on their devices. And then they also produce their own languages, the Swift language. So Apple has a stack that's horizontally integrated. It's a little bit vertical, but it's largely horizontal and has a little bit of vertical integration. So that would be their stack. Now, Google has a huge stack. Google has a stack across everything. They have a stack across closed source, open source. Google is probably one of the largest contributors to open source in the entire world. They have 9 apps with over 1 billion people. They have multiple apps that have over 2 to 3 apps that have over, I believe, 2 to 3 billion people. They have Chrome operating system, Android operating system. They have the Chrome browser. They have the Fuchsia kernel, which is like what Huawei did when Huawei built their own OS from the ground up. Google has a project similar. Google has multiple programming languages, Dart, Go, all of these they've open source, but they're heavy contributors to them. They also have Carbon. That's seen as a C replacement instead of a C alternative like Go is. Google has the Flutter framework. Google basically wrote the paper that the entire AI industry is based off of, the 2 papers, the attention paper and the tensor paper. They released TensorFlow, which got everything started. So Google has they have hardware. They have the Pixel, right, which is actually really gaining steam in America. They have Chromebooks. They used to actually have a Chrome device. They have the watch, which they're leveraging. So Google has all these aspects of the stack, including the cloud. And we just saw their cloud grow at a tremendous rate. It was insane cloud growth. The percentage-wise blew Amazon, and that's because they have AI. Google is leading in AI, 750 million users. So when I say this stuff, understand this. If you're an Apple fanboy, you're gonna be like, you're a Google fanboy. I just listed all the good things Apple did. The thing about Google is their stack is so big. It's so large. The only person on earth that can rival Google stack is in China, Huawei. That's it. And their stack is different. Their stack starts from industry, from manufacturing up. But they're the only player on earth that has a stack that can rival Google. But both of these companies, what they can do is they can take AI and they can inject it into every single aspect of their stack. And that's what you see with Google right now. They're putting it in everything. In everything. They're leveraging it everywhere. And it's paying off. And even if you go, well, OpenAI has more users in their app. Google right now is a close second, 750 million monthly average users in the Gemini app, serving 3 to 4 billion now AI overviews in search, processing like 1 trillion tokens every minute or something of data coming in, just some absurd number. And yet they're stacking cash. How is that possible, you might say? Why is Sam? Because Sam pays the NVIDIA tax. Google doesn't. Guess what? Another part of their stack is, yes, they're not like Huawei way down at the bottom of manufacturing, but yeah, they build their own chips. They build the IP for their own chips. Google does. And they actually have the most performant AI systems in the world. Willow, sorry, it's a quantum chip. The cat really wants out here. Sorry, I can't think of their latest name of their Ironwood. Ironwood is the best system right now in the entire world for AI. NVIDIA's units aren't even close to the performance of Ironwood. And it's not that on a chip-by-chip basis, NVIDIA isn't close. It's the fact that Google built this at the ground up, and these aren't graphic processing units. These are tensor processing units. They're built from the ground up for the math specific to AIs. And then they're set up in a systolic array so that the data pumps through it like a heartbeat. It's a really interesting idea. So efficiently, much more efficiently than anything you could do with NVIDIA's chips. So when Jensen says they have the best systems in the world, he's talking about what's commercially available for other people to buy. Google has the best AI systems, period. And they don't have to pay Jensen the 70% tax, the 70% margin that he puts, that Sam Altman has to, that Elon has to. See, everything, if you're an Elon fanboy, everything Elon wants to do with this is what Google's already done. Okay? But they don't bark about it like Elon. Maybe they should. They're in America. They need a carnival barker. And I used to say that last year. They need to, I like Sundar. He's brilliant. But they need to fire him. They need to find Elon Sam Jr. or something, the cross between them. Just go out there. And then the stock will go through the roof. But yeah, that's where it's at. Okay? That's where we're at. It's playing out exactly how I said it would. Meta, Apple, Google. If the market pops, these companies are fine. AI is still going forward. All they're going to do is just scoop up the pieces. So is there a bubble? Yes. Of course there is. It's in the crap companies. But those crap companies are not the big players. And it's always, when I say everything, if anybody, XAI, OpenAI, Alibaba, anybody. When I talk about China too, remember, I'm not comparing America to China, because China will have its own AI market, completely separate from America. And it will be just as powerful. But simply put, in America, it's going to be dominated. Google's going to be a part of a duopoly or a triopoly, or it's going to be a monopoly with AI. But if someone gets AGI, then all bets are off. Okay? So if Sam gets AGI, which I don't think he will, he keeps saying he does with LLMs, but I think he's just saying that on the surface. I imagine they have to be pursuing multiple other models. But if he was to get AGI, then all bets are off, right? I mean, we're really stepping into the unknown, true AGI. If China gets AGI before us, all bets are off. If Elon gets it, all bets are off. If Google gets it, if Meta gets it. But again, on this channel, this is going to be my closing note. I've stated many times, I don't think AGI or ASI is happening until we have quantum computers, which by chance, Google also happens to lead there too, with the Willow chip. Other companies, China, they do great on a number of qubits they can hook up. But right now, the methods that Google has for error correction are simply the best in the entire world. And error correction is the biggest thing, because the more qubits you get, you have to actually reduce your error rate, which is tough to do because you're adding more interference, more possibility for error to creep in, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, I do believe our consciousness is quantum mechanical. I just saw they just released a research paper, what was it, with tryptophan, and someone had measured, actually, I should look this up again. I just saw the overview of it, and then I watched a quick video on it. I'll look it up. I'll read it through it again. I'll get back to you guys. But basically, I'm not saying it's confirmed, but someone has some evidence that lends credence to Penrose's notion of consciousness being a quantum mechanical process. And if it is, if our brains are, which I think it's obvious, look how much compute we get out of the size of our brain and the energy. You think an ARM chip is efficient? Look how energy efficient your freaking brain is for the type of operations it does a second, right? I got like 20 conversations going on in my head right now. Where was this conversation? Oh yeah. I believe it's quantum mechanical. I think it's obvious. And if it is, then we will need quantum chips. Now, there are some people, I'm going too far here. I know I'm going too far. Roger Penrose thinks you would have to have quantum chips because he thinks the collapse of the wave is a unique, like a phenomenon. This isn't supported by everybody. Frank Tipler, who believes in many worlds, and I believe in many worlds also. I don't see any reason that anybody wouldn't once you look at the math. There's nothing in the math that says that there is a collapse of the equation. That's just an idea introduced. But anyways, who am I to argue with Roger Penrose? I'm not arguing with him. That's just my opinion. He obviously is a master of this. I'm a jack. Master beats a jack. Where was I going? Oh yeah. This is clarified. When I say it needs quantum, technically, if the collapse is not a phenomenon, it's nothing special. There is many worlds, then you don't need quantum chips, but you would need the type of computation that could match quantum algorithms, which essentially means you need quantum chips because you're talking about huge amounts of processing, insane amounts of processing. Understand that quantum does a specific type of math very well. It's not like they do everything better. In fact, they don't do most things better. Most things, they are worse than traditional chips. But there is a certain type of math that they do much better. And when they do it better, it is insanely. It's not like an order of magnitude or two. It's like orders of magnitude, like an order of magnitude to an order of magnitude to an order of. It's 10 to the 10. That's possible. That could be possible with the right problem. If you had enough qubits, it could be an order to an order to an order. That would be a maybe not that. Well, no, it is because they could do something that there's more particles in the universe in. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Absolutely, they could. Absolutely, they could. So yeah, you're talking about that. You're talking that scale. So it's not that it's something special. Information theory would say it's just computation, but if you had classical processes, it would take forever, ever. Maybe you wouldn't even have enough time in the lifetime of the universe if you believe in like heat death or something. If that makes sense. So, anyways, yeah, where was I going? I personally believe we're going to need quantum processing. I'll just leave it at that. All of you out there, have a great day. Hit like and subscribe down below. Take care.